Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a great weekend. Michel Laporte-Gordon here, and welcome to this first live streamed session here on LinkedIn. So, in English, of course. And the reason why I wanted to do this is because I wanted to let my international community and network get to know me even more, and Vimentis, of course. And also because there's some of you that's been emailing me and sending me text messages here on LinkedIn, or emails as it's called, and ask me, when are you going to do the English version? So here we go, guys. Awesome, Emil. Welcome. And of course, everyone is welcome. As you know, the rules to be part of these live sessions is always drop where you're located, your name, where you're located, and drop your LinkedIn profile link in the comments here, because I want you guys to come to these sessions and you're going to grow from here. Not only from the information, but I want you to grow your network. I want you to book meetings. So make sure that you connect with people. Make sure that you also not only connect, but I suggest that you take the first step and make sure that you have a meeting with someone you don't know. That's a great way to just expand, and you never know who's behind the keyboards and who they know, basically. Because again, let's not do the mistake to just stare too much on the person you connect with on their title or whatever, because people move around. So make sure that you're there. Okay. So today I have 3 goals. First, I'm going to talk about a little bit about me. I'm going to let you know more about myself and Vimentis, because not everyone knows, even though we are connected here on LinkedIn and so on. So I just want to give you a short introduction. The next one is that I'm going to share 4 common mistakes that I see in the startup community. Okay, and the story behind that is, of course, that I've been working basically 24/7 with the startup and small business communities, with the entrepreneurs for the past 10 years, and seen thousands of different things out there. So I'm going to share 4 common mistakes that I've seen. And then we're going to talk about the ecosystem, how to become part of the client's ecosystem. Now, some of you have heard me talk about the last part a couple of times, but it's important to understand that sales is not something that you all of a sudden do and then you're done. Sales, in my opinion, is something that you always continuously have to improve. Just like for you guys who know me, I'm a martial artist. I've been practicing full contact karate for 27 years. And I'm still a student. I'm still a beginner in so many ways. And I'll probably never become the expert. And that's how I approach sales in general. Because there is so many dimensions to sales. There is extremely many different dimensions to sales. Because everyone is involved with the sales process. If you work at a company, then you are involved in the sales process in one way or another. And what do I mean with that? Well, in the previous economy, it was so common that we thought that, okay, the salespeople are out there. They are the ones handling the sales and the others doing something else. But in today's economy, we need to face the truth that that's not true anymore. I mean, if you're in the back office, if you work in the economy, if you're the janitor, I don't care. In one way or another, you're going to have an interaction with a potential client or the client itself. And that will, in one way or another, affect the experience, the buying experience, the customer experience from their point of view. And the market today is so fragile. It's so fragile. So depending on how basically how you are met by let's say you have an invoice and you call them and you say, hey, I have a problem with this invoice and so on, and you get shitty treatment, of course that's going to affect you for a long time. But also the other way around. The power, the sales power that we have in organizations today, it is so untapped. Basically, this is something that I work with. I'm going to talk more about this in the future. Now, so anyways, I started my journey. So when I was actually 10 years old. Cobra Kai never dies. That's so true. I love it. You took me off guard there. Thank you. So, but I started my journey in sales when I was actually 10 years old. And the reason why I did that was because in Sweden, we have this tradition that kids get like $1 per week if they tidy their room or they make their beds or, you know, just behave or help around at home. And I remember I had a friend, he said, Michel, why don't you get that? And I said, I don't know. I haven't asked my father. And they said, why don't you go and ask your father? And because they're going to give it to you. And I always say, obviously, this guy didn't know my father. My father is an entrepreneur. And when you grow up as a child to an entrepreneur, you have two possible upbringings. One is that you get everything that you want. The other thing is that you have to work for everything you want. And I am damn sure option number 2. Okay. So what actually happened was that my father, he went out to a local bakery and he made this deal with this local bakery. So he came home basically with some notes, and he said, Michel, this is what's going to happen from now. So Wednesdays, you're going to knock on doors and you're going to take orders, and you have to sell bread. And on Saturday mornings, I don't care if it's raining, storming, snowing, you're going out and you're going to deliver. That was my introduction to sales. And I was a very shy boy. And I remember it was quite difficult in the beginning. But since then, I was hooked. It was amazing. And basically since then also, since I was 18 years old, I've been out on the market. So that's been my university. The market has been my university since then. Throughout the years, I've been working with sales, all kind of different sales jobs. I've been in telemarketing. I've been working with knocking on doors, whatever, but also with more advanced sales like domain portfolio, trademark portfolio and laws, and so on. I've been working like a sales rep, key account, and also sales director, and so on. And in between that, I had my own businesses, because in the end, we have to ask ourselves, what's your passion? What's your what drives you? Okay. And for me, I always loved sales, but from an entrepreneurial perspective. Now, what do I mean with that? Well, I love to take an idea and make it happen. I love to take an idea and see how can we create cash flow from this idea. Okay. So that's why it's been everything from DJ. I had 10 DJs working for me when I was 18 years old, and then from there on, it has been coffee machines, etc. Now, the core in everything has been sales. So what needs to happen is, or actually what happened was that after my last job as a sales director, I felt like, okay, I'm done here now. And that's how Vimentis actually started to grow. Because being a student of the market, also having the mindset to always reflect on what I see and what can we improve. The success from the last sales job that I had as a sales director, when I took this group of salespeople from basically a very low performance rate to an extremely high performance rate, I was looking into, okay, what actually happened here? And basically what was the key was two things. Of course, the right tools and the know-how of sales. That just have to be there. But what we also added was the right mindset. So since I've been in martial arts for 27 years, everyone who's been in martial arts knows that it's not about the certain technique that will win the fight. It's basically it always comes down to the mindset of the fighter. And it's the same thing when it comes to sales. I would say in 10 out of 10 times, it's always based, the results will always reflect the performance, of course. And performance is directly linked to self-confidence. And as you know, and as you probably know, I mean, write in the comments if you remember like 3 lessons in school where you actually were taught how to build your confidence or how to work with your performance, then write yes. If you don't remember 3 lessons in school, then write no in the comments here. So just so I can see who's here and so on. But it's so important that we understand that basically what we see, because sales today, you can search on YouTube for 3 hours and then you know what to do. But the problem is that we still don't do it. And that is so many times we see that this is linked to confidence. So I work with these two things, and what happened was amazing. We went from a very, as I said, we went from a very low performance group to an extremely high performance group. And this formula was the base in when we started out Vimentis. Vimentis is actually Latin for power of the mind. Okay? Vimentis is Latin for power of the mind. I wanted to create a brand, something where we don't just talk about the house and you know, do this, do that. I wanted to take this to a much deeper level, because I know if the solution was just to read this book or attend this course or whatever, if that was the solution to high performance sales, then we wouldn't need all these books about self-confidence. We could just go and see visit an e-course and that's it, and we would have high performance. Of course, that's not the truth. If we look at the numbers out there, we are actually declining in the results. They say now that 87% does not reach their quota. 87%. That is absolutely crazy. Okay? Which means that the other 13% is basically those who bring in the money in the company. I would say working with small business owner, consultants, entrepreneurs, etc., I would say that the numbers is just the same. The overall number in the world, you look at the startup community, 80% of businesses fails. Why is that? Is it I mean, of course, that can be the weather and something, but in the end, it's always because you didn't have enough revenue. You didn't send enough invoices by the end of the month. And I'm not just talking from a Swedish perspective. This is a global perspective. That's just the way it is today. More and more people are starting their own companies. More and more people going into this sharing economy, this gig economy, where you can basically, you don't even have to own your own business today to deliver a service and send invoices. That's how things are developing. And this is so much, I mean, and we need to understand that the one skill that we need to develop today is sales. And we need to maintain it. We need to nurture it. That is why Vimentis is here. That's our cause. That's our why. We're going to make sure you have this. Every tool and everything within it. So you can read more about Vimentis on my profile. But to this day, I've had 6 companies, and this is my 7th company. And this is where my passion lies. I'm not done here until we have actually created a great change out there, because I know that we can turn these numbers around. Just through sales, we can turn these numbers around. And yeah, so today, the way we do it today is that we actually, for a couple of years ago, we launched the first live streamed sales education program for entrepreneurs and startups. And today it's the largest one in Sweden, and it's going to be the largest in Europe soon, and we're going to take over. We're not here to take part, we're here to take over. That's just my mindset. I may be wrong, but that's my mindset. I'm not here to take part. So it's amazing. And when COVID-19 happened, this was our backyard already. So we work with clients and incubators around the world, and it's just a great deal of fun. So let's leave Vimentis and me, and let's go straight to something that you can bring with you from this session as well. Okay, but I would love to connect with you guys. I would love you guys. If we haven't had a one-to-one, then please send me a message here on LinkedIn, and we'll sit down for 30 minutes. We have a digital coffee, and we can just catch up on things. Okay, we never know where we will end up, so it will be great. Now, the four common mistakes that I've seen so many times in the startup community and small business communities in particular. Okay, I hope you have your pen and paper ready, because this is I didn't write this down. This is for you to write down so you don't do these mistakes. First of all, the number one mistake that we do is that we start too late. Okay, the number one mistake that I see when it comes to the startup and small business community is that we start too late. All right, and I don't know why this happens, but usually when you see, especially the startup community, and when I say startup in Sweden in particular, we talk about the tech startup, those in incubators and so on, and I get it. Come on, of course I know that you have to have certain things in place and so on, but do you know actually when you can start your sales process? Do you know when you can start your sales process? I get this question, I don't know, 5-10 times per week. You can start when you have the idea, because you can go out there and you can sell the vision. You can still go out there and sell the vision. I actually have a group every week now these days. I meet up with a group of we're about 11 people in a group on Thursday evenings, and all of them have one thing in common. They are inventors. They have amazing innovations on the way, but it's not there. It's not even it haven't taken form yet. So it's a mix between physical stuff and digital stuff. But again, and many of them were very skeptical in the beginning. But if you would have seen the progress that they do now, just because they know how to sell the vision and keep it there, so they can start long before they end up with loans, end up in debt with investors and so on. Because having investors coming in with money, that's not the solution. That's just a temporary, to be calm and that you can pay your bills possibly, but that's it. So we need it's about control as well, but we're not going to talk about that now. But the number one I see out there, we start too late. You need to start as soon as you have an idea of what you're going to deliver to the market. Because guess what? You can have the best idea in the world, but if the market do not agree, then I'm sorry. It's either too early or just the wrong idea. So there's more to it, but let's move on. The second thing that I see out there, it's the lack of practice. Practical moments, because again, those who start to work with their sales process in general, maybe they have a plan. So they work out this marketing plan and they work out this strategy that I think, but they don't practice anything. They don't practice what they try to deliver out there. They don't practice their pitch. They don't practice how to fill their calendar with amazing business meetings. So everything is all theory, but we don't practice. And this is one thing that is so devastating for a business, because the thing is that if you don't practice your businesses, if you don't practice your sales, sales is like a muscle. You can't brag about those glorious days when you were back in the days in the gym and you have to have these, you have to practice every day. You have to practice every week. And why do I mention practice? Well, it's not from a kumbaya perspective. It's very, very simple. When you're in a business meeting, it's so much about what the conversation in general, yes, but it's also what is said in between the lines. What happens? What this fraction of a second of a, it's these tiny moments that happens in a business meetings. Then if you have your game, if your game is on, if your radar is on in that business meeting, if your senses are on the top, then you can catch those short, brief moments, and you can most likely do something creative with these moments. And it's so important that we understand that that's why you need to practice. And the best practice is out there with the client, of course. But if you don't have those meetings, then practice with someone. The lack of practice is number 2. The number 3 is actually strategy. So we start too late. We lack practical. We don't practice our sales processes, and we lack strategy. We don't have a strategy going out. You may have an idea, but listen. Do you know the buying behaviors of your market? What is the true value that you have to deliver to your market? And if you can't answer that without going through your product or service, then you don't have a strategy. That's just the way it is. We need to understand that the market is so complex today that you must be able to answer this question in particular. What is the true value, write this down, that you can deliver to your market, And I don't want you to answer that through your business product or service. It's a great question to ask yourself. What is the true value that I deliver? Number 4, and I've mentioned it a couple of times now, but it's the confidence. So we start too late. The lack of practical moments, and lack of strategy, and we lack confidence because we haven't practiced it. I mean, look what people wrote here in the comments. We don't practice. And I want you guys to understand, building confidence, especially when it comes to sales, there is no magical formula for that. I can't give you confidence. I can't give you. Nobody can. But what you can do is to build your confidence for real. And the way to do that is actually small steps along the way, small victories along the way. And what do I refer to? Well, when you book your meetings, when you're out there, when you have done your great business meetings and worst business meetings, as long as you can look at those from a learning perspective and understand that you are on a learning curve right now. It's not about trying to be perfect. It's just about doing what's necessary and understand that it's a learning process all the way. The more you expose yourself to these situations, the more your confidence will grow. And you accept the fact that failure in one way or another is part of this journey in order for you to reach your goals. That's just the way it is. I know that I mean, this is LinkedIn. Everyone is showing their best sides and everything is so fluffy and good and dandy. But in the reality, we all know that being in business can be the worst ever. I mean, I know it and you know it as well. There can be so many things that is out of your control. Life just beats you to your knees. That happens, yes. But if we adapt a mindset that we will grow from these experiences, good or bad. I actually read a quote last week, I think. And I love it because it was so great. It actually said, if it doesn't matter 5 years from now, why put your energy to it? I just love it. Because we are so hung up on things that we get blind. We blind ourselves from the big picture. And we start to say, oh, I'm not good enough and I'm not. This is not true. I mean, if you really, truly wants to take control over your sales processes, then we need to embrace the fact that failure is part of the journey as well. And we're going to learn how to grow from it. And it's never that perfect as seen here on LinkedIn, for an example. So these are the 4 things that I see over and over and over again. Let me know if you recognize any one of them, or if you have any other experience from these from your own journey. What's the common mistakes? What's hard to accomplish out there? Let me know in the comments, okay? And great to see you, everyone. I haven't catched up on good morning. So thank you, Sarah. Now, what to do then? All right, let's close with something great. I told you guys, let's do it old school. It's always good. I told you guys that there is something that we need to do all the time. And for you who've been watching for a while, you know where this is going. Now, I know some Keenan, for an example, who had the book, released a book that's called Gap Selling. He called this the Gap. For me, it's all about the ecosystem. You could do this one, or you can actually think about a circular economy like this. And no matter which one you use, it's the principle that you need to adapt. Why? What do we need to focus on? Because again, if you're going to create successful sales strategies today, you start your business or you're in a startup or whatever, you need to cover a couple of things. And this, I'm just going to give you a quick introduction, okay? If you want to know more about this after, then hit me up on a meeting and I will share this with you, all right? But I'm just going to give you a short introduction of the principles of the ecosystem sales. Now, first of all, before you start, you need to know your market, okay? This is number one. And maybe somebody say, well, that's a no-brainer. But come on, listen. I'm talking about knowing your market for real. Because you and the idea of this is that think about your client or your potential customer, all right? And I want you to try to look at their market from their perspective. Usually when we talk about sales, we talk about, oh, what problems do we solve? And we are so focused on what happens here, okay? And that's good. We have to know what problems we are solving, because this is what basically makes you relevant for your market. But you need to know, where is your market heading? Where are they going? You need to know exactly what's happening over here. Because the decision that you want your clients to make is, of course, from this point of view, even if it's about solving something here and now, the core of the decision needs to be from this point of view. I would say that what I'm talking about now is usually for an example, I have a lot of consultants, companies coming to us now, and they say we have to do something because we miss out on so many business opportunities because the consultants that our clients basically hires from us, they are out there and they are solving the problem. They are doing their jobs. But the lack of understanding of the market from a helicopter perspective, the consequence of that is that there is so many other, let's say you have 3-4 other areas that you could cover. They miss out on planting those seeds or letting the clients know and so on, because they don't look at it from this perspective. They are stuck here. And this is the same thing when I see a lot of small business entrepreneurs out there. They go out there and they talk about the features. They talk about basically what they solve right here and now. One of the greatest consequences of that is that you will end up in a price discussion right here, because you haven't brought any more value to the table. So if you're going to be able to talk from this perspective, you have to first study your market for real. You have to understand it. That's where experience comes into play. And that's where you can basically become better than everyone else on your market, because they leave this out. So we're going from here today. Where are the clients going? And number 2, we ask. We ask the relevant questions, because once you can ask questions from this perspective, you can now, together with your client, make sure that they understand that your product or service is the piece of the puzzle for them to much faster reach their goals. If this is the perspective that you take, and you make sure that you can ask questions from this perspective based on that you did your research and you're extremely relevant on this business meeting, I'm telling you, this is the quickest and most efficient way for you to really start to own your own sales processes. Now, everything that we covered here now is basically the core of the program that we work with. And I have so many people that gone through our business program that is live and online. And listen, this is universal. I'm not talking from again, this is not a Swedish perspective. This is not a Seychelles perspective. This is a global perspective. Because if you can feel, if you agree with me now, then let me know in the comments. Let me see that you are alive, guys. But basically, if you can make sure that every single business meeting you are in, the client can feel that you are on point from this perspective, this decision right here will be extremely easy. If you agree with me, write yes in the comments. Become part of your client's ecosystem. It's basically the same thing. If you usually, if you look at it from a circular perspective, it's the same thing. Perhaps they have a product or an app or whatever, and they have clients coming in this way, and the revenue comes in. If you can be part of their system, if you can add something that brings value to this point even more and increase value over here, then of course you're going to sell more. It's just the way it is. All right. So guys, this was just an introduction. As I said, there is so much to say about this, but I want you to write down today, what is the true value that you bring to your market and you can't answer through your product or service? If you just start with this question and work with that question, then you will be on your way, on a good way, to start to talk about your product or service from a much more interesting perspective. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this first session with me here, and yeah, we're going to continue. I'm going to do at least once per month. I'm going to do a live session in English because again, it's time to really go out there and connect with the international network as well. And if you haven't done it, make sure that you post your LinkedIn profile in the comments here, and make sure to connect with the other people that invites you. All right, you never know where this person can bring can take you if you have a productive meeting. And if you want to talk more to me, then let me know. Send me an email or something, and we'll continue from there. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you go out there and just smash this week and believe in yourself. It doesn't matter if I do it. You have to believe in yourself, and make sure to do your absolute best every single minute in your business. Okay? Thank you, everyone, for today. And yeah, I'll see you next time. Bye.